The next tool that's very important is property mapping. Now this is a way to change the default properties that Navisworks quantification pulls in. So I'll explain this by illustrating an example. So we're going to go into the steel model, and so I'm going to unhide the steel, and I'm going to hide the architectural model. So I'm going to click on one of these columns. So this is a wide flange column, and if I come over to my properties tab and I find the element, which has a lot of the quantification information, I'm looking for the weight property, and I do not see it, so the next place to look is on the Revit type, and come in here, and it looks like my weight is a W, and so that's good. So now let's look at some of my other framing members. Let's look at this T56. And if I come here on the same Revit type tab, it looks like I've got just a WT. Okay, so just remember that, and I'm going to take off these two different types of items in my quantification workbook. And I'm going to take off this item. Sorry, I'm going to pin this open. And then I'm going to go up to my columns and take off this W10 by 60 as well. And so when I look at my W10 by 60 and I look at my different information here, it looks like the W10 by 60, it does not pull through the model weight. And so when I look at this other one, the same thing happens. It doesn't pull through the model weight. And so Revit or Navisworks has some default variables that it looks for to pull in things like weight and width and length and area. And so in this case, though, there's a little bit of a variance to that. And so this WT needs to be the correct mapped variable for weight. And so I can change my variables by coming to the item catalog and then coming up here to property mapping. And so this is a global property mapping. And so I want to add a property mapping, and I'm going to say my takeoff property in this case is going to be model weight. That's the variable I want to map to. And then I'm going to look, I want the Revit type, and you can also just start typing in Revit type, and I want the WT. So this is saying look for the WT in the Revit type and map that to model weight in my takeoff. I'm going to hit OK. So I'm going to delete these takeoffs. Yes. Delete these. And I'm going to redo that takeoff. So I'm going to take off this one. And you'll notice already it shows the 11 pounds, and that's per lineal foot so I have it. I have it fixed my issue there. And then we'll come to my columns. In this case, this one was still an issue because this one was still the W, if you remember. And so you can do some global property mapping, and then you can also do specific item mapping. And so it looks like we're going to assume that most of them WT is correct. And for this one, we want just to be the W, just the regular W. And so you can come here into the specific just for this item, and I want to map the model weight to be Revit type W. And then go back to the quantification workbook. There we go. And so now we'll just refresh. I'm going to delete all these takeoffs by selecting the first one, holding down Shift, selecting the last one, coming to Update, and then Delete Selected Takeoff. So I still have the item, I just don't have any of the takeoffs associated with that item. And now I'm going to come down here and take off these to that same item again. And now you see that my weight pulls in the correct 60 pounds per foot. And so you can see it's important to figure out what properties you need to map and do them before you do your takeoff so you don't have to redo anything.